David Jiles here, Nuka Radio. There is protesting going on in Nashville. Yesterday, there were 19 people arrested in Nashville for protesting the state's slave system. The state slave system operated by Core Civic, a for-profit business founded originally in Nashville. And these people are taking, effectively, though without perhaps realizing it, effectively taking a biblical argument against the concept of prison, and doubly against the concept of prison for profit, paying for profit. And if you go to Nuga Radio, you can see some of the photographs and one video file of officers coming up to the top of the Core Civic building on Burton Hills Boulevard to bring down a protester. And there's a video there. You can see that at Nuga Radio on Facebook. These are progressive protesters, Beth Foster from Chattanooga included, but they are making an argument that has warrant in the Scripture. There are no prisons in Scripture, and yet Christians somehow think that the existence of prisons are morally neutral, biblically neutral, when in fact they are a direct assault against God's government, I would suggest, against God's decree for the role of the civil power. David Jiles here. We are at 92.7 FM, and we pursue the arguments for local economy and the free markets here in Chattanooga and beyond. Love your neighbor and buy local. Now, there's been a remarkable arrest. Again, I say remarkable because it's, in a way, it's kind of terrifying and shocking because it is a routine sort of encounter between a citizen, and her name is Constance Jiles, in Cohutta, Georgia, Whitfield County, and an encounter that she, I'd say, mistakenly invited upon herself by calling 911 when there were men in the house, solid American men as you could ever find in the house. There were strangers strangers afoot on the property and within the walls of her house. And Constance Jiles has been charged with obstruction, and this Georgia statute is badly written, unlike Tennessee's, which is much better. The Georgia statute leaves it open-ended as to the impeding and delaying activity of in what in Tennessee is called resisting arrest. In Tennessee, there has to be the use of force before that charge can even be brought into view, before that statute can be brought into view. But Constance Jiles, you are working today and yesterday in trying to get evidence in the case in your defense. You are building a defense, and you've been sending videos and posting videos through Facebook Live about your efforts to find out what on earth is happening to you since you were arrested. Tell my listener. Let's start at the very beginning at your house on Dogleg Road in Cohutta. What happened to you, Constance?
First of all, thank you for having me and my family. My children were downstairs playing while my son-in-laws were pressure washing the outside area driveway. My son-in-law was approached by two men who looked very rough and said, supposedly is Roy there? He said, hold on, I'm not sure. Hold on a second, meaning stop. I'll go check. And this was at the top of the driveway. My son-in-law proceeds to come down. About that time, he's inside. My kids come to me before I know anything about what's going on. My little girls, because they were playing in the garage. And I come downstairs and I see these two men. First response was, what are you doing here? Who are you? What can I help you with? Their response to me was, we don't have to talk to you. We don't have to tell you nothing. By God, you're in my house. You're going to tell me something. I want answers. They kept on saying no, they didn't have to. At that point, I said, if you don't tell me who you are, what you're about, what you need, what I can help you with, I'm going to blow your brains out. Obviously, I didn't have a gun, but I did, say those words. Sorry, but I did, just to scare the living mess out of them. And one of the gentlemen proceeded to back up outside of the garage as I was closing it. And then the other gentleman proceeded to step forward more into my garage towards my children. Whenever I said, I'm giving you 2 seconds, get the heck out of my garage. I didn't use those words, but it was close. And so he was laughing. The bigger gentleman was laughing. He proceeded to walk around to the other side of the garage. In doing so, he kicked what I had in my garage was it's a heater / fan. It can be used for both. He kicked it over, knocked something over and broke. And in resulting of that, my 8-year-old's toe got cut. He turned around and started laughing. I'm on the phone with 911. He proceeded.
Wait, you were on the phone with 911?
Correct.
And what are you saying to 911 about these men? Who are these men at this point while you're making the call? Do you know who they are?
I did not. I did not. That's why I was scared to death. So called 911, told them that there's these 2 intruders in my home. They will not leave. They finally left, went back up to the hill. At that point, I see that it is a truck. They're on the phone with 911 saying that I was threatening to blow their brains out, which obviously, but you're in my house. You're in my house. So yes, I did say that. I pushed the bigger gentleman out after he hit my daughter.
And this is after dark.
This is correct. And so on the recording from 911, it states that, they needed to leave. They refused. They told 911 no, they weren't leaving. Lieutenant comes out to my home and...
Which lieutenant is that?
Lieutenant Lowry. Proceeds to, I'm assuming, according to the recording that I've watched, and her police report contradicts herself, but she stops up there at the top of the hill, talks to the intruders instead of detaining them until further questioning, comes down to my garage.
Do they go? Do they disappear?
No, they're still there. They're still there. She comes down with herself and a younger officer, and the first thing out of her mouth is, "What's the problem?" You can come a little bit nicer that way. I'm not going to tolerate that. Number one, I'm in my home. Number two, I call for help. Obviously, it was the biggest mistake ever, and I've learned a crucial lesson from this. And my son-in-law said, "Excuse me, what?" And she goes, "You heard me." Yeah. And then I told her, I said, "No, we're not going to do this. I'm not talking to you. Respect goes both ways." I told my son-in-law to move, proceeded to close that side of the garage door. I go around to try to close the other side. About that time, Lieutenant Lowry comes into my home, grabs my left arm and says, "You're going to talk to me. You're going to talk to me. Come on, lady. Come on, lady." And throws me to the blessed ground.
So she's throwing you to the floor of the
concrete,
the concrete floor of the garage,
outside.
And that is because, did she know who you were? Did she know that the 911 call had come from you?
Well, if she was doing her job correctly as a lieutenant, in my opinion, she would know that a 911 call was placed by me as well. She told me and my family that I never called 911. That's failure to do her job on her part. I have nothing to do with that.
Did you identify? You identified the address. So did you identify yourself?
I did. I told her I was a homeowner.
Constance?
I told her that I called 911. She said that I did not. So yeah.
All right. So you're on the ground. We have officers of the law throwing females, our better sex, on the ground by their extremities. And what did the officer proceed to do to assist you, or to coerce you, or to somehow compel you to do her will? What happened next?
She threw me to the ground. She claims that in her police report that she said that she told me to put my hands behind my back, but that's also contradicting herself as well. She never did that or said that. In the video as well, you can see that they are threatening to tase myself and my family.
Now, the video was made by one of your children?
That is correct. There was a lot of cameras going, but yes, one of them particularly.
Well, let me just ask quickly. We have also here, Kayla. You're 20 years old. Just briefly, maybe you can continue the narrative just a little bit, and then tell my listener about why you were running your phone. What was the purpose of that?
For our protection, because I mean, it would have been their word against ours if anything, like even if it did go right or if it went wrong. It's their word against ours. So if you had got a recording, then that you can't lie about recording. I mean, there's.
Well, all right. You have. I looked at these recordings, and I don't remember that I've seen the one. Maybe because it was too dark. Your mother on the floor. What happened, or what were you trying to record, please?
Well, I started recording from the minute that when we called 911 and she came down the driveway. That's when I started recording.
Well, your mother's on the floor. What is the deputy Lowry saying and doing?
Telling all of us to back up, that she's going to tase us if we didn't. And while she's on my mom's back with her face in the ground.
All right. This is David Toulis, and we do thank you for joining us. A remarkably routine humdrum arrest in Whitfield County in Cohutta on 4106 Dogleg Road just a few days ago. Constance Jiles is the very indignant homeowner, mother of numerous children. There were about 8 women or girls in the house. There were 3 men, young men, or your husband, Constance, in the house. You were a business family. What happened then? Continue the story, please.
So she gets me up off the ground. I get somewhat drug up the hill because my kids are following, wanting to make sure their mom is safe, and nothing else is going to happen. She takes me to the police patrol car. They're squeezing my arm. She told my kids they could not come over there. So on the video, you can hear me screaming at the top of my lungs. She squeezed in my arm. They tightened the handcuffs. Why, I have no idea, but it left significant
You're wearing
bruising.
a sling right now. Is that connected with this arrest?
It is,
Constance
absolutely.
Jiles?
Yes. Due to the aggressiveness force that she used on me, it pulled the tendons, the muscle, and the nerves in my shoulders. I still have scabs on my elbow as well, and some bruising that is slowly healing.
Well,
But
what is Deputy Lowry, Lieutenant Lowry, saying to you while she's sort of pulling you up the hill? What is she saying? How is she correcting you or advising you? Constance?
She's not saying much of anything to me at that point. She's talking to my family members, my children, telling them that they need to get back, told them that they need to stop recording. My kids told her that she said that if they didn't stop, that she was taking everybody to jail. Kayla speaks up and steps forward even more and said, then you might as well take us all to jail because I'm not stopping nothing. Well,
that is the American spirit, and I hope my listener hear this. Kayla is 20, expecting, and her beau was on the scene. Now, Constance, let me ask this question: your husband, I know he's in the shower when this starts, and so he's either just getting in or getting out. Where is he? Where are the defenders of the property, might say, that are of the male persuasion?
Right.
When did he come up on the scene?
My husband was in the room getting dressed. My 2 son-in-laws were downstairs. One was pressure washing the driveway, as I stated. And when the gentleman went back up to the hill, my husband left the scene. I mean, he took his pride and joy, which was his bike. I mean,
Now, what does the listener need to know about the repo men? Are they at the right address? Is there a problem that we might want to hear just briefly about regarding their financial interest in gaining custody of that piece of property?
Sure. Yes. Obviously, after the fact, after all this had happened, I find out that they are at the correct address. Needless to say, to back that up, you do not, under any circumstances, have a right to enter my blessed house without the consent of mine.
And I know in Tennessee, the repo statute says that a repo agent going after collateral, meaning the thing that's borrowed for which the loan has been created, here in this case a motorbike, it can't be taken with a breach of the peace. So if the rule is that if you're a repo agent, it has to be done on the sly at night, or maybe if it's during the day, the owner or the borrower, the debtor is maybe in the factory and there's a huge parking lot, and they go into that parking lot, take the car or the motorbike, again on the QTs, so that there's no breach of the peace. But here we have a breach of the peace. And I don't know what the law says in Georgia, but you're suggesting that they have a duty even there in your state.
That is correct. It is supposed to be a peaceful repo. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, and I can't stress this enough to anybody out there listening. It has to be a peaceful repo. If it is not, they are in a slew of trouble. Also, the cops are not supposed to get involved. That is a civil matter.
This is David Toulis, and the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. And we're talking about the activities of Sheriff Scott Chitwood in Whitfield County, North Georgia, is just on the border there. Dalton is the biggest town, right, in the county. That's the county seat. And Sheriff Chitwood has Deputy Lowry and one other officer who were called by a distressed homeowner, businesswoman Constance Jiles, and so you are. Now, how is it that you understand? What are you trying to do right now? Since you've been arrested, tell my listener about the efforts you've made to understand charges, because I'd like to suggest to you, the listener, that Constance has been really heroic in trying to make discovery of her dilemma, because you are in a real dilemma. You're facing a misdemeanor charge, and the statute is so badly written it could be a felony charge too, possibly.
Correct.
Though you did not use violence. That allegation seems to be in the report. So what have you been doing the past few days to kind of assert yourself and to make sure that before any court hearing at all, you have your defense prepared as much as possible? What's happening?
Yes, I have gone to the sheriff's department. Today is the second time demanding. Well, first day I asked. That was very nice. I asked for the motion of discovery. And all of the evidence.
What does that mean?
Motion of discovery is all the evidence that they have against me. They've brought these charges against me. Then I want all of that evidence so I can properly defend myself in the court of law. It is a due process. I have that right. Everybody has that right as an American citizen to get this information. First day I was told I was transferred to evidence, taught to evidence, recorded everything. I can't stress that enough. Record everything when you deal with the police. I mean, it is sad. It is sad, or anybody for that matter, because they lie, obviously, and it's. I've got the proof. So anyway, they told me that a lady named Shannon, came down and told me that, oh no, that's evidence. That'll be heard at trial. I beg to differ, because I'm not going to stand for that to be given to me the day of, the day after, the 2 weeks before, a month before. I want it now. That is my due procedure. I want it. It's my right. You press these charges against me, then you show me your evidence, because you don't have none.
Right. If you have all the evidence gained the night of, this is all now almost a matter of archive. It's in the archive. It's in the record. So make me the copy, cut the DVD. It can be all done, run a photocopier. It can all be done within a few minutes.
Exactly. So I asked them for that. They told me no. I played along. I said, okay, that's fine. Went home this morning, got up again, did my research a little bit more to make sure that I was correct in what I was saying. Went back up there to the sheriff's department at Whitfield County. Was told, hang on, let us get you I believe it was a chief or something. It was somebody over Lowry. She's the lieutenant, so it was someone above her. He proceeds to come out. He has nothing in his hand, mind you, in this video that my daughter recorded. Nothing in his hand. My daughter asked about her evidence, her report that she had
Lieutenant
given.
Lowry's evidence.
Correct. He said that's given in court, or I can get it from the DA's office, put it off on the DA.
In other words, you can get it from the DA's office.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And then my daughter spoke up and she said, well, what about my statement? I did a verbal statement and I did a written statement. Kayla Jiles said that. And he said, oh, that's evidence. That's part of evidence. No, it's not part of evidence. I cut him off. I said, no, that's not part of evidence, because I've got the report. Kayla is missing. She is not listed on there as a witness. That's part of evidence.
You have a photocopy, and I'm holding up here for our viewer on Facebook and YouTube. The first page is kind of, when it prints out a bit gray, but if you look at our Facebook page at Nougat Radio, you can see the whole of it and read it. Both pages it was put up yesterday. So this is you do have that in hand.
I do.
Right? That's a printed copy that you have.
Correct. I have a photocopy of theirs, and Kayla's name is nowhere to be found on there as a witness. So anyway, this big honcho guy that is above the law, obviously too, says, oh, that's part of evidence. That's part of evidence. And I said, no, it's not. It should still be listed on there as a witness. And he said, well, I haven't seen the report. And I got up and I said, okay, well, let me go get you a report. So I had the lady behind the desk make me another copy. And I showed him. And he tried to say, oh, that's part of evidence. No, it is not. I know my rights, and you're not doing your job right.
It is part of evidence in the sense that it's something that would be introduced at when your accuser comes before the people, right? When he comes, I think probably your first hearing will be in what we would call here a sessions court, but a kind of court where the judge often decides everything on his own, right? Without a jury, jury-free court.
I was explained this morning from also when I left the sheriff's department, went straight to the DA's office because that's what they put it off on.
Go ahead.
And I explained the situation there, recorded once again, and was told that they just got the case. I believe it was on the 27th or 28th. And the attorney that is handling that case is also one that handles the domestic violence. And she was at court. I explained everything to this lady. about what was going on. Her eyes about popped out of her flipping head. She
What do
was
you mean?
stunned. Oh, she was stunned. She could not believe what I was telling her, what my daughters were telling her. I told her, and my kids told her, it is all recorded. We have no reason to lie. Lowry contradicted herself and perched herself on this statement, a legal, lawful document. And I'm not backing down. I'm here to tell everybody I'm not scared of Whitfield County. I don't care. I have rights, and I'm standing to my ground, and everybody needs to do the same thing.
This is Constance Jiles. You hear about from Whitfield County. She's telling you, my listener, something that you need to consider. I'm offering her as an example of what to do when you're accused. Don't just sit down. Don't wait for the court date to have to find out what's against you. Do it now.
Yes.
And we'll hear more about that. And the number is 800-8949, 800-8949.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A TVA contractor was cited for allegedly exposing workers to dangerous electric shocks. One worker was seriously injured by high voltage power lines at the Sequoia nuclear plant in Saudi Daisy. Chattanooga-based Day and Zimmer faces fines of over $71,000. A Saudi Daisy teen is clinging to life after an ATV accident left him hospitalized over the weekend. 14-year-old Bryson Scott was riding his four-wheeler on Old Hunter Road in Ottawa when he slammed into a utility pole. There's an event page that's set up on Facebook called Pray for Bryson. And Eastridge City Mayor Scott Miller is stepping down, telling city council members that it's time to enjoy retirement. Miller has only been the city manager for a few years, coming on board in 2016. His last day in office will be October the 26th. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now. The University of Tennessee Chattanooga women's soccer team arrived on campus on the last day of July. After getting settled in their living quarters, the Mocs got together for a team meeting and spent the rest of the evening catching up on getting to know each other, where the Mocs coaching staff will have a chance to see progress this week with a pair of friendlies. First will be this Thursday, August 9th against Belmont at Finley Stadium. That'll be followed with a scrimmage on the road at Tennessee Tech Sunday afternoon. The United Championship Racing Alliance returns Tazewell Speedway in Upper East Tennessee on Saturday, August 11th for its second $3,000 to win 50-lap championship points battle of the season. The ultra-high Van Clay Oval saw UCRA fan favorite, the Dirty White Boy, Anthony White, and the number 2X of Clinton, Tennessee, pick up his victory during round number 4's. White currently trails current UCRA points leader Jimmy Elliott in the J39 car out of Cleveland, Tennessee. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric. You're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nooga Radio.
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
I got my business up and running and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga roofing contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done? Yep, they're filed in the cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio.
Chattanooga weather.
Heating up out there through your afternoon with some sunshine. Can't rule out a spotty shower, but not much. Highs lower 90s tonight. Muggy, warm, lows lower 70s. For Wednesday, highs 88 to 90, but a few late day showers and storms will move back in from the north and west. Showers and storms likely Thursday. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rlsouthernrealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm Soren G. 12, Chief Meteorologist, Pastor 4.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Toulis.
Yes, ma'am. This is David Toulis with 97 Nuga Radio. I'm live in here. I'm trying to get a hold of Scott Chitwood, please. The sheriff, is he available?
Just a moment.
Thank you, ma'am. This is David Toulis. We are trying to get a hold of Scott Chitwood of Whitfield County regarding the arrest of Constance Jiles, whom I have here in the studio with oodles of children, husband, in-laws, and family members. We're trying to get a hold to find out more about.
You've reached the Whitfield County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigation Division. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. We are currently assisting other callers. We apologize for this inconvenience, but ask that you please call back. Thank you.
Well, this is David Toulis. Clearly, there's not Sheriff Chitwood to ask about this arrest of his deputy, Lieutenant Lowry, whom in one video made by a daughter, Michaela, has the statement that she's been on the force 14 or 18 years and always does things the same way. Very, I would say, in an admirable way, very peremptory and executive. She gets things done immediately on the spot, and I would say some summary. There's a kind of when we're dealing with the modern executive state, there is something just summary about a legal issue, a legal matter, and it's all handled within 5 minutes or less. And then somehow the rush, you might say, it's a rush to judgment, a rush to conclusion. Where she decides that Constance Jiles is a malefactor, the one who called 911 asking for help, a homeowner, a woman, a businesswoman, the plumber's wife, who no doubt makes the business very prosperous in Whitfield County. She now, as the deputy, turns upon her, charged with willful obstruction, which in Georgia is a really awful statute, a very vague statute. Now, Constance, let me ask just if I could have a word with Roy. Roy, you're a plumber running a business in Whitfield County. Can you just give my listener a sense of your confidence in your protection as a citizen? You have the sheriff to protect you and your property and your family. Has this encounter between deputy and your wife encouraged that perspective or hurt it?
It's like we're scared to call the police now to come out and, to our residence because stuff like this.
Now, when you got on the scene, you were in the shower, either getting in or getting out of the shower when these strangers were detected, if you will, in your house. How long was it before you came to the scene?
Probably 5 minutes. Once I got downstairs, the guys was already up top of the hill.
Meaning the two intruders who were the repo men.
Yes, sir.
Right, they were there. And what were they there to get at your house?
I found out they was there to get my motorcycle.
And what do you know about the rules for repossession in Georgia? Are they under certain requirements to do or not do certain things?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a peaceful repo. It definitely was.
Well, the listener may recall the Avery Gray repo story downtown in Chattanooga in late June. The 14-year-old girl dragged from the car while it was being repossessed. The police officer, assisting the repo agent from M&R Motors. The car was being taken with his assistance, and there was, as I point out at Nuganomics.com, our chief sponsor, a violation of the statute that requires that the repossession of collateral take place without, quote, breach of the peace. And that is exactly what happened, a breach of the peace. And that girl was charged, it seems, but in a very malicious way, charged by the officer. The case thrown out by the magistrate in juvenile court here in Hamilton County in Chattanooga. So we're talking with Constance Jiles, and we're hearing about her arrest. The number is 800-8949, 800-8949. If you are in Georgia and receiving our powerful 92.7 signal, do call in. Perhaps if you have a good story to tell about Lieutenant Lowry, we would certainly love to hear that. If you have one that has a bleaker perspective, well, perhaps it would be good to hear about that staff selection by Sheriff Scott Chitwood in Whitfield County, who hires and fires people on his staff. He's had that department has had her for some time, at least a decade. So, Constance, tell my listener what you've done since your arrest. First of all, just tell my listener just briefly, who's just joining us, briefly what happened. You were arrested in your own house after calling 911 for help. Tell my listener what you're charged with in a quick sketch. What happened that night?
On July 15th, approximately 8:30ish to 9 o'clock, I called 911 because I had 2 male intruders in my home. My daughters were downstairs playing. Son-in-law was pressure washing the driveway at the hill. These men approached my son-in-law, asked for my husband. My son-in-law told the intruders, these males who did not say who they were, or what they needed. They just asked for my husband. My son-in-law told him, "Stay right here. I'll be right back."
This is David Toulis and Caller Live on the David Toulis Show. What's on your mind?
Yes, I'm calling in. I've seen these videos of Constance, and I just wanted to say that I didn't see anything that would allow this deputy to come into her home and make an arrest or attack her. As far as I know, a person has the right to refuse to talk, and
thank you.
She was just exercising her right to not speak, I don't see anything that constituted an arrest, obstruction,
Well, real quickly, have you had an encounter with this Lieutenant Lowry?
Not specifically Lieutenant Lowry. I've had other problems in Whitfield County. My sister was murdered about 3 years ago, and by her husband. And after her murder, I did a little research on her husband. I knew he had been in some trouble in Whitfield County, and open records, public records, you can go get police reports. I think it's within a 5-year limit. After that had happened, I went to the police department, and I went to
was that you're breaking up on us? I'm sorry. Was that the Dalton Police Department or Cohutta or the Sheriff's Department?
Whitfield County Sheriff's Department. And,
Go ahead.
The man had over 14 incident reports, but never did any time. He worked at the courthouse in Whitfield County, him and his mother, both for about 20 years. And, I think 6 months prior to her murder, he had made the front page of the newspaper. He had left the scene of an accident, went to his home, and then had an armed standoff with the police for 3 hours. After 3 hours, the police finally got clearance from a judge to go in the home. And they found him unconscious. He had overdosed on his prescription meds. He didn't even get a felony charge for any of this. He did 2 days in jail, and that was the end of it. And he had addiction problems. My sister, the victim, never had any problems with addiction. So she was going to arrest him. He had gotten real bad again, and he killed her. And in reality, he should have been in prison.
Well, listen, we do thank you very much for calling, and appreciate the insight there and your experiences. This is David Toulis. We're taking your call if you are in Whitfield County and have either good or evil to say about policing and sheriffing there. Feel free to call. The number is 800-8949. Of course, that's 423 area code in Tennessee. That's 423-800-8949. And we're brought to you by Nuganomics.com. We're talking with Constance Jiles about her arrest. So you were in the middle of saying, pick up where you left off, Constance.
Okay, so my son-in-law told these intruders, these guys, to stay right there. He would go see if Roy is available. And the plumber,
in the shower.
Correct, in the shower. So anyway, my son-in-law proceeds to come to the house. The kids are down there. He goes upstairs, bypasses me, doesn't say anything to me at all. So my little ones, Ashton and Courtney, were downstairs and Brittany was playing. And they come running upstairs. Mama, there's somebody, these guys, they're in the house. I don't know what they're doing. Scared to death. As a mom of all girls, that is your worst nightmare. Worst flipping nightmare. So I immediately leave my phone upstairs, run downstairs, almost bust my butt going down my steps. And I see these two men in my garage, further into my garage than they should have ever been. And I said, what is your name? What are you doing here? What can I help you with? We do not have to talk to you. We do not have to answer any questions. About that time, my older daughters come down. That is Kayla, Monica, and Emily. And they ask the same thing. What are you doing here? What is your name? Can we help you? We don't have to talk to any of y'all. And I said, well, by God, I'm the homeowner and you better start talking now or I'm going to blow your brains out. Mind you, I didn't have a job. I didn't have a gun in my hands. So I was just trying to scare them away. And it worked with one of them. After about the third or fourth time of telling him to get out of my house, he leaves, backs up out of the garage. The other one steps forward more into the garage. And I shut the garage door and I said, if you don't get out of my house, there's going to be some major problems. I called 911, tell them that I've got 2 intruders in my home. They're refusing to leave. I need assistance. Biggest mistake ever to call them because they did not help me.
Yes, ma'am. This is David Toulis with 92.7 Nuga Radio. I've got a live line call here, and I'm trying to reach Sheriff Chitwood. Please, could you put him on the line?
Hold, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for holding.
David Toulis, we're trying to reach the Sheriff, Scott Chitwood.
Office?
Yes, ma'am. This is David Toulis with 92.7 Nuga Radio. You're on a live line on the air, and I'm trying to reach, so don't use any profanity, okay?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Trying to reach Scott Chitwood. Is he available, please, for my question?
Okay, hold on just a second. And your name one more time?
Yes, ma'am. It's David Toulis with 92.7 Nuga Radio, and I'm live on the air with a defendant of your department.
Okay, hold on just a second, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for holding.
This is David Toulis, and we're trying to find out from Sheriff Scott Chitwood what we need to hear regarding policy and officers coming into people's properties who've been called there for assistance and who then turn upon the homeowner and property holder and business person, as Constance Jiles is with her husband Roy. They run a very profitable plumbing business, and we would like to know what the policy is on this sort of encounter. Constance, as we're waiting for Sheriff Chitwood to come on the line, what? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, hey, the sheriff is currently in a meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now, so he can't get to the phone.
Yes, ma'am. Well, just tell him, please, that David Toulis called and that I will. I'm just trying to get him on the program today on the David Toulis Show out of Chattanooga at 92.7 FM.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, Constance, you're saying.
Okay, so my daughters come downstairs as well after I've already been down there demanding answers of who these two gentlemen were. My daughters try to do the same thing. They have they get nowhere with these people. I tell them that they need to leave. I close the garage door. One backs out. One steps forward further into the garage. I get the other one. I'm threatening him to no end that he needs to leave. I call 911 for help. They send an officer out, which come later to find out is Lieutenant Lowry. She comes out all big head, like she's above the law. And instead of coming with your guns drawn and detaining the intruders until you find out more about what's going on, she proceeds to stop and have a conversation with these people. Okay? Big mistake. You should have never done that. You should know that by being in the service for 18 years or, protecting and serving. You should know you need to detain the person that is committing the crime. Anyway, she talks to them for gosh know how long, comes down to the garage. Immediately, my children, they smart kids. God, I've done a good job. Puts the phones on record, and it shows her in the video walking down my driveway. Comes to the garage. She proceeds to say, "What's the problem?" My son-in-law to my family. my son-in-law is standing right there at the garage door. My other family is sitting down. I was sitting in a chair downstairs, and he looked at her and he said, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah." First of all, no, ma'am. Back it up a little bit. Have a little bit of respect. Understand the situation that just occurred, and have some type of remorse for what just took place for me as a woman and 7 children, girls at that. And she had no remorse. I've been doing this for 18 years. This is how I do things. Well, it's time that she hang up the badge because I'm not backing down. I'm fighting tooth and nail.
Well, you're facing a charge called obstruction.
Willful obstruction.
Willful obstruction. So what is it? What constitutes that charge, and how close is that charge to the facts?
Okay, well, obviously it's bogus because I'm going to believe a video recording audio over what anybody decides to type up, write up, or whatever you have. She contradicts herself multiple times in this police department statement. Says that she spoke with them, but yet in the video she tells my family that she hasn't spoke to them because they're asking and demanding questions of what's going on. Why is she being arrested? What are you going to do with these gentlemen? Oh, I don't know yet. I haven't spoke to them. Baloney. You did speak to them. You put it in your police report that you spoke to them.
Well, I'm holding up a page 1 copy of the reporting officer's narrative here on YouTube. We are live on YouTube and live on the great Censor, FB or Facebook. We're live there too. We're there for another day. And we're talking with Constance Jiles of Whitfield County, arrested, charged with willful obstruction by after a what seems to be an increasingly grave mistake that people make, calling 911 for intruders in her house. There were repo men looking for a motorbike that was collateral for a loan, and from her husband Roy, who was also in the house. And so, Constance, what you've been doing, I'd say, is really remarkable. You're aggressively pursuing the evidence in this case. In other words, the evidence that the good people, as I call them, the Fellowship of the Finger, the DA and the sheriff, they'll be using against you. You're trying to find out what is the proof that you are as they say, a criminal.
Correct. Which obviously they don't have none. I'll just clear the record now. I know for a fact they don't have one. Let me back up just 1 second. When they put me in the cop car on the video, you can hear me screaming to the top of my lungs. That was not a joke. That was not for, show. They were hurting my body so bad. They grabbed my arms. They were squeezing my arms, my wrists. They tightened the handcuffs it was not called for whatsoever what these people did to me. So yes, I was screaming. I needed help. These people would not, get me the help that I needed. She looked to her opponent and said,
"What do you mean opponent?"
Her other officer, her colleague.
Her colleague.
And said, "You have this recorded, right?" And he said, "I couldn't get mine to work." And she goes, "You better go find something right now. You better go find something right now to get it recorded." Well, a little too late there, buddies, because we recorded it from the start.
Well, you have been very aggressive in trying to get the evidence against you. When is the hearing, the first hearing?
Your guess is as good as mine, David, because I have no clue. They won't give me answers. They tell me, I was told today when I went up there for a second time that they had the right to come into anyone's home in Whitfield County without a search warrant, without a seize, without any type of documentation, and they can do whatever the heck they want to do. It is recorded.
One of your 7 daughters is Emily, age 16. Emily, you were there witnessing your mother's tribulation under the fine service of Whitfield County Sheriff's Department. What do you make of all this? How are you feeling? What is your assessment, if you will, of your mother's persistence? Now she's fighting for her rights. Tell my listener what you're making of this as a young person.
You should be able to feel safe calling an officer or the police station or even seeing cops out. You should feel safe, but now I just don't.
Well, aren't officers supposed to be peacekeepers?
Yes, sir.
And here there was a disorder brought about upon your family's house by 2 strangers. So there was a disorder. There was lack of peace, and 2 deputies came, and peace was not something that they brought into the situation.
I feel that my mom deserves justice for what happened. That was just uncalled for. Throwing her on the ground, shouldn't give them a reason to do that.
And why, Emily, would you suppose, you're 16 years old, why would you suppose that they would handcuff her? Did they think that somehow she was a threat to the personal health and safety of the officer, that somehow she might strike the officer or kill the officer with her bare hands? Is that why they put her in handcuffs? What reason, what good state reason do you think exists for that kind of treatment?
There is no reason. She did it because she was mad that my mom wouldn't talk to her.
And everybody gets handcuffed. Even people who've been shot 5 times are handcuffed, even as they're dying on the floor.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen the video.
I did.
Have you seen videos like that, Emily?
Yes, sir.
Of police success stories?
I've seen one in Chicago. I mean, not Chicago, but California, where a gentleman, 25 years old, had some mental issues. His father called 911 for help, and he got there. His son, he thought, had a knife, and the cops come in the back way of the house somehow and shot this man dead in his home. Not once, not twice, not 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. I think it was 18 times shot this man dead.
Now, you're what you're learning from this, Constance Jiles, is I'd say important. One would be record.
Yes.
Number 2, what about affidavits? What's an affidavit about?
Get statements. Get statements from anybody, the witnesses. Get statements from family, friends, neighbors, colleagues, whoever is available that knows about the situation, that was there, that witnessed everything. Get a verbal statement, written statement from them. I can't stress it enough.
And that's called an affidavit.
Correct.
Because that can be entered into the stream as evidence. And if it's not contested, then it stands as fact.
Correct.
David Toulis, Constance Jiles, and Kayla and Emily, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And Roy, thank you. David Toulis, we've got some important messages. We're going to hear next about cannabidiol, which is new from the hemp plant. David Toulis, Nuga Radio.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A TPA contractor was cited for allegedly exposing workers to dangerous electric shocks. One worker was seriously injured by high voltage power lines at the Sequoia nuclear plant in Saudi Daisy. Chattanooga-based Day and Zimmer faces fines of over $71,000. A Saudi Daisy teen is clinging to life after an ATV accident left him hospitalized over the weekend. 14-year-old Bryson Scott was riding his four-wheeler on Old Hunter Road in Ottawa when he slammed into a utility pole. There's an event page that's set up on Facebook called Pray for Bryson. And Eastridge City Mayor Scott Miller is stepping down, telling city council members that it's time to enjoy retirement. Miller has only been the city manager for a few years, coming on board in 2016. His last day in office will be October the 26th. Val St. John for Nuga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now. The University of Tennessee Chattanooga women's soccer team arrived on campus on the last day of July. After getting settled in their living quarters, the Mocs got together for a team meeting and spent the rest of the evening catching up on getting to know each other, where the Mocs coaching staff will have a chance to see progress this week with a pair of friendlies. First will be this Thursday, August 9th against Belmont at Finley Stadium. That'll be followed with a scrimmage on the road at Tennessee Tech Sunday afternoon. The United Championship Racing Alliance returns Tazewell Speedway in Upper East Tennessee on Saturday, August 11th for its second $3,000 to win 50-lap championship points battle of the season. The ultra-high Van Clay Oval saw UCRA fan favorite, the Dirty White Boy, Anthony White, and the number 2X of Clinton, Tennessee, pick up his victory during round number 4's. White currently trails current UCRA points leader Jimmy Elliott in the J39 car out of Cleveland, Tennessee. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Action Sports Now.
Chattanooga weather.
Heating up out there through your afternoon with some sunshine. Can't rule out a spotty shower, but not much. Highs lower 90s tonight. Muggy, warm, lows lower 70s. For Wednesday, highs 88 to 90, but a few late day showers and storms will move back in from the north and west. Showers and storms likely Thursday. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rlsouthernrealty.com for their complete listings. And I'm Soren Eastwell, Chief Meteorologist, Manager 4.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
My ex recently hacked my email and my social media, and it really caused me some problems. I changed all my passwords, which helped, but I'm still getting trolled, maybe even stalked. I know it's him. I just can't prove it.
My business, well, it's been broken into twice already. I've got cameras, but that only helps after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening in the first place.
Unity One East is your solution to these and many other security concerns. With private investigation, security services, and backed by decades of real-life experience in military and law enforcement, Unity One East is your instant contact for security, investigation, and consultation to help protect you, your family, and your business. No 1-800 number, no red tape, no wait, because Unity One East is local and available 24/7. Reclaim your peace of mind. Call Unity One East, 475-6206, 475-6206.
Honey, this water tastes weird.
Yeah, it smelled kind of funny in the shower this morning, too.
Well, I asked the neighbors and their water is fine.
If you irrigate your yard, you need to have your backflow device checked every year. A faulty backflow valve can allow pesticides and other contaminants back into the water your family uses every day. Call Keefe Plumbing for checks and services on all your water systems. That's Keefe Plumbing, 622-3178.
I live, work, and play in Chattanooga, the scenic city. But when it comes to my next car, truck, or SUV, I'm Alabama bound. Fort Payne, Alabama, and Landers McClarty Ford. Big city selection of new and pre-owned vehicles with the small town price and friendly service. Now, I'm not knocking my hometown, but when it comes to my next ride, I only go to Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. Their selection is huge, but if I can't find what I want, they'll find it for me with the same low price, same great service, and only a short drive away. And I can go online to look around before I leave the house. Got that next dream ride in your head yet? Yeah, you do. Get a head start at LandersMcClartyFord of Don't just dream it, find it at LandersMcClartyFord of That's right, Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne, Alabama.
WPLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
Serving Chattanooga.
Broadcasting live from the center of the universe, the Tennessee Valley's most listened to news talk station.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by ZipRecruiter.
I'm Pam Coulter. Nearly 14,000 firefighters are battling 17 large wildfires across California, and the biggest of all has burned more than 290,000 acres in Northern California. CBS's John Blackstone.
This promises to be another tough day for firefighters here, with temperatures expected to rise into the 90s. Now, this massive fire camp is the base for nearly 4,000 that are battling the Mendocino Complex fire. With California getting hotter and drier, experts say almost any fire can now turn into a massive one. It took the Mendocino Complex fire just 10 days to make history as California's largest fire ever.
A lot of attention is on a special election today for an Ohio congressional seat. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
Democrats shouldn't be competitive in a congressional district like this. President Trump won here in 2016, but there's a 31-year-old Democrat keeping even with the Republican